All right, we got this working now. All right. Hey, sorry guys for the delay. I was getting the start screen set up and my work in progress. So we're going to get things started in one moment. All right, so here it is, episode two. And you know what? Hey, shout out. Yeah, I am actually only 15 minutes late today. So yeah, it's been, again, it's a learning curve right now. So, we'll get there. It's progress, not perfection. But yeah, this is obviously episode two of the Caffeinated Collector. And this has obviously been quite the interesting thing going on. And it's been a lot of fun. But as you guys can see today, I did make a little kind of splash screen, get things going a little bit, and see how things were going. But I do have, it looks like, some massive delay. So I'm trying to fix that currently. But hopefully everyone's doing good this morning because, I got up ready to get the kiddo to school today, and we were late, or the bus was early. I don't know. So she didn't go to school. But cheers to everyone this morning here. So for today's episode, what I want to do is I want to talk about a couple of things. Nothing too crazy. Show off, obviously, the figures and things like that. But also, get into a couple of little tiny topics, like maybe we'll touch on Highguard and the not even rise, but drastic fall that game has had, and the Resident Evil 9 hype train that's coming. And you know why? Unpopular take, I'm not too excited about it, but we'll see. We'll see, and we'll talk about that a little bit maybe. And then if we got time, I know it's not a sports stream, but maybe we'll have a little bit of a discussion about the Super Bowl commercials and kind of the, I guess, lack of good commercials. Because there really weren't any good Super Bowl commercials. But we'll talk about that maybe towards the end of things. But, we had a lot of really awesome figures to go over this week. And I actually did do my 5 figures, so it was pretty cool. I managed to get all that stuff going in, but very cool. And we'll get into those in a moment, but I do want to mention something really quick. I don't really know much about sponsors and things like that, but I do have a partnership with W Energy, and I'm probably going to talk about that in a little bit, where I did get it, I did try it, and I actually am a pretty big fan of it. So you'll start seeing a little bit more kind of stuff going on with the channel as the weeks continue on. I do have a promo code Nerds Never Sleep, obviously, for 10% off your order, and that's for all merch on their website, including shaker cups and stuff like that. So wanted to kind of just put that out there, get it out of the way. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to dive right into a pretty good week of figures. So we actually started off this week, instead of going with my Miku like we did last week, we went with my Hero Monday. So this week, let's see if she comes up. Of course, we highlighted Mina, aka Pinky, aka the Alien Queen. Now, you guys obviously know I am a fan of My Hero. I'm a huge fan of all the My Hero waifu, and Pinky is one that hasn't really seen a lot of figures. So this is actually one of the earlier ones. It's from the Age of Heroes line. And you know, I really, really dig this one. While not many of the Age of Heroes, excuse me, are ones I am a fan of, because that was an early line and they were very, very plain, right? So you had there in a very standard, basic, standing up straight pose. I actually just recently got rid of a whole bunch of mine from the Age of Heroes series, because as, again, things kind of progress, you get more dynamic and more cool figures. Now, Mina is a character that we haven't really seen a lot of, and it's kind of a bummer because she does have a very cool, kind of almost retro looking style to her, where she's kind of wearing the bodysuit. You know, it almost looks, 80s or 90s style. And she's wearing like the fuzzy vest with it, with the boots. Like, she's just rocking like a 70s style. And I do dig her character design. She actually also doesn't really even have that weak of a power set. She's actually pretty damn impressive with the slime ability, I like to call it, which is essentially her, kind of decay almost. It is literally a decaying slime that she throws out there. So when you size her up against other characters, her acid, or her decay slime, I like to call it, is a pretty potent weapon, and the way she can actually use it to throw things up in front of her and shield her from incoming projectiles, stuff like that, it's a very, very cool power, and I like the way they kind of evolved it over the series. Now, all in all, I think this figure is a great piece, and being a cheap piece, back then these were about $20. Now you're going to go 25 to 30 for them. But for what you got here, she was pretty damn nice. And it's a shame that we didn't get more figures of her. I know we've gotten a couple of the other, I guess, minor characters in MHA. So we got, Earphone Jack, got a couple more, things like that. But it would be nice to see a couple more of these extras, as Bakugo calls them, kind of get their comeuppance with some more figures, because she does have a really awesome character design. And, I think it is a shame that we didn't get more of her. But, that's just my opinion. I'm a huge fan of Pinky. I love her. But like I said, if you're looking for some figures of her, I think this may be the only... It might be the only prize figure that we have of her. And you know what? I'm going to actually check that right now, because I want to double check. Let's see. Mina, My Hero prize figures. So I think, other than this, I'm looking right now, she has the fancy Belfine one, which I do have, and I have to unbox still. And it looks like she has the little tiny World Hero Coliseum figures. So she does not have a variety of figures to go by. There are not many at all. So it is kind of disappointing because, again, she's a really cool character. Just checking to see for some reason my chat's not refreshing. So give me 1 minute here. I see you in there. Okay, she looks so badass. I see you there, man. What's up, man? Sorry, I didn't see your earlier 2 chat messages. My bad, dude. So you said, only 15 minutes late today. Oh, okay. Sorry, it wasn't populating on my chat. But yeah, I think all in all, She is a really awesome piece. And again, if you are looking for a Mina, which we don't have many of, this is definitely one to look out for. I think she's still on the cheap. I'm looking at her right now. Um, yeah, she's still running. Yeah, if you go aftermarket, she's running wow, she's running around $30 and up. So she has gone up quite a bit if you're going on things like eBay, things like that. But if you are looking for one, I'm sure you can find one on the cheap because she's not as popular, so to speak, as a lot of the other characters in the series. But oops, I just loaded up to check my volume and I apologize. You got a little bit of an echo there. But all in all, like I said, she's one to look for because you're going to pay, God, probably a maybe fifth of the price for something like the Belfine, which is going to be a pretty big scale one. I think they're 1/7 scale. They're about the size of all like the Kotobukiya stuff back here. So they are a little bit bigger, but you're going to pay $160, $170 for the Belfine one. So it is definitely a big difference. So sorry, I had to respond to a very smart ass text message. But yeah, all in all, like I said, I know I hung on her for a while, but I love the character, and I think it sucks that we haven't gotten more pieces of her. So, very long story short here, guys. If you are looking for a badass Mina, this is, well, kind of the only one in the game. So, take it or leave it. That's kind of the way we got to go with it. But that was it for her. Again, I think she is a really, really cool one, but it just sucks that, we get that in a lot of series where you'll have a character and you'll go, oh my God, I love that character. And then you'll look for merch for them and you'll be like, damn, there's nothing, or there'll be acrylic stands or something like that. Nothing very prominent, as far as figures and things like that. So it does kind of, I don't want to say demoralize people, but it can kind of kill your vibe, so to speak, and make it to where, it might actually check you out of the series. I've seen some people do that where they'll go, well, my favorite character doesn't have any merch, so that sucks. And then you kind of feel like you're not able to support your favorite series because your favorite characters don't have any merch. And I get it. As far as merch goes, you're gonna make the characters that are gonna sell, right? I get it. But, I mean, look at guys, we got a freaking Mineta prize figure, okay? And I think he came out before Pinky did. All right? We got a damn grape juice prize figure. Granted, just like with Pinky, that's his only figure. Thankfully, because nobody likes him. But we did get a Mineta prize figure. And there are still some My Hero characters we haven't gotten really any figures of. So it's kind of crazy how they do it. And I get it. They're testing the waters, things like that. But, bro, Mineta, really? But, surprisingly enough, he actually does pretty good on the channel when I post him. I don't know why, but it's pretty wild. Just checking here real quick because I got a lag spike, but we are good. We are good. So now that my gushing over Pinky is over, we're going to head into Tuesday's figure, which, of course, another Rem, because Rem is best girl, guys. You guys got to realize that. Rem is best girl, okay? This one is a very, very cool one, and I get asked about it every time I post her. This is actually a 5 or so year old figure from when they had RIP, the Taito Station arcade in Japan. I believe they shut all them down. Either it was the Taito ones or the Sega ones. But this is obviously the Taito Station Rem, where she's in the staff uniform. I love it because it does actually have like the jean outfit look to it, while still having the Rem kind of apron look to it too. Now, I don't know if that front white apron is part of their uniform at the Taito arcades, but I think this thing is so freaking cool. She's got her little kind of coin pouch right here on the back. She's got her headset, All of it is freaking adorable. I think this line is something that should have had way, way, way more figures. But as far as I know, we got a Rem, we got 2 Mikus, and I think we got a Super Sonico. Let me look that up. I think that's all we got. Let's see. Taito Station figures. And of course, it's not going to show me that particular line. But there was, let's see, I'm looking right now. There was a Rem. There was the 2 Mikus, one which I had horrible luck with. Oh, and there was the girls from Lucky Star. I did not know that, and now I'm going to need to get those. So we had 2 girls from Lucky Star. We had the Miku with the like prize egg, and then we had Miku with kind of a little Taito arcade, creature, a little 8-bit creature, and then we had Rem. And then we actually had Sonico holding a box of prizes. Oh, and actually, I just got shown there were actually 1, 2. Nope, there were 2. Okay, so there were 2. So we did get 2 extra ones that I didn't actually know about, which now I'm going to have to pick up because I adore the line. So it's pretty freaking cool, but it wasn't a very long-lived kind of line. So I get, again, asked about her all the time. I think she is adorable. And you guys know me. I am a sucker for any kind of variations of posing and costumes and things like that to make the figures stand out, right? You can have an entire shelf of Bakugos all looking exactly the same, right? I mean, I love Bakugo. But at the end of the day, it's just Bakugo looking like Bakugo every time, right? At least with the female prize figures, right? With the Rems, with the Mikus, things like that. You get a little variety. And having something like this, especially when you put her with the other arcade figures, it's really, really cool. Like on one of these shelves back here, I want to kind of put a arcade like kind of background to it. That's ideally what I'm going to set up next is going to be in all these cubes. I'm going to have kind of a background situated, a themed background. So where I've got the Avengers right here, I want to put kind of a cityscape behind them. I have the Star Wars and Mass Effect Bishojo back here. I want to put kind of a little space background back here. This one back here is, of course, X-Men. I'm going to put like the mansion and stuff like that, or maybe a Sentinel back here in the background. Again, I want to do that, but one of these, I want to do a stage, obviously, for the Mikus and stuff like that, but I want to do another one that's going to have a arcade feel to it, so we can put all the kind of game characters and the arcade characters with the arcade Miku and the arcade Rem. So I think it'll look pretty cool, but again, I don't have the time to put all this together. It is something that is going to take a long ass time to set up all these displays because I have way too much stuff. But all in all, this is a very, very cool piece. And it's one that, again, not a lot of people have seen outside of Japan. So I'm glad I have it. I have gotten one of the Mikus 3 times, maybe 4. And she's arrived broken every single time. She looks awesome. Yes, she does. She's a really, really cool one. And like I said, I love all the little details in this one. Even when you get in close and you can look and see the kind of the jean outfit, it's really, really cool. Even down to the details on her little sneakers and the laces and things like that. It's a very, very detailed prize figure all the way down to like the stitching on all the jean outfit. So it's very, very cool. again, I like it. I like having variety in my figures, variety in the clothing, things like that. And this one definitely stands out because, again, it's actually based off of like a real life place. So it's really, really neat. I just wish they would have done more. And now that I know we have more of them, I got to get those 2 Lucky Star ones. And I got to get me the Sonico, which Sonico has, she was arrived broken twice for me. So I kind of gave up. And, excuse me. And the Miku holding the Taito alien is another one that arrived. Again, I think it was 3 or 4 times I ordered her, and every time I unboxed her, she was broken. So I kind of gave up the quest on those 2. But now that I know there's some Lucky Star ones, I'm going to probably try to get my hands on those. So maybe one day we will have the entire Taito Station collection. Very, very cool, though. If you guys can get your hands on her, let me just do a quick little search here. Let's see what she typically runs for in the aftermarket here. So Taito Game Station, honestly, we got some on eBay going for over $100, but we go over to Mercari and we've got some Mercari for like $20-25. So she actually still is in the range of affordability. So guys, if you're looking for one, definitely check out this Rem, because man, she's so freaking cool. I think on Amazon you can get her for $50. So even still, for an older figure, rare, definitely one I cannot praise highly enough. And of course, we got my girl Rem, because she's best girl. But that's it for Rem and my Twin Tuesday post. Now I need to take my sip real quick because I'm getting a little parched. So next on the docket is, of course, one of my favorite segments, Waifu Wednesday, which, again, varies from week to week. So, as you guys know, Monday segments bounce between My Hero Academia and Miku, and Tuesdays are always going to be ReZero. Wednesdays, we get to have a little fun. We get to play around. We get to pick any female character, although I have managed to slip a husbando in there as a joke. I think we did it on April 1st. But for Waifu Wednesday, I went, of course, following up Maureen last week. Followed up with Maureen this week. Following up last week. This is why doing this live sometimes sucks. With Maureen Kitagawa from My Dress Up Darling. Now, this is a girl that for some reason YouTube hates when I post her. I can post so many different waifus, but when I post Maureen here, YouTube does not like her. I think as of right now, let's take a look here. Maureen is not very highly regarded. So if I take a look at my analytics, we've got Pinky had 1,400, Rem at almost 300. Oh, Maureen went up to 100. Okay, so I will take that. I will take it. She's come back up, so that's good. Normally, Maureen hovers at like single-digit views. Something to do with maybe the short skirts, the boobage being out, whatever. But for some reason, YouTube always nails me with her. And usually, before the new takeover of TikTok, she would get flagged on TikTok for adult content. So it is interesting to see how the algorithms are changing. Maybe we will get, less throttled from now on, but this is obviously the kind of comfy, cozy, relaxing, hoodied Maureen. And, obviously this is kind of in her, I guess we want to say, her slumming it, right? I mean, Maureen slumming it, whatever. But this is, again, one of the Taito Corful line figures, which I love the Taito Corful line. They are super cheap, super affordable, and they are always made very, very well. I have, I don't even know, probably hundreds of Corful figures, and they are just really, really awesome. They're always in different types of outfits and clothing, and then we have other kind of duos and trios and sets like that. So it's really, really cool. Taito knocks it out of the park with, I'm going to say, about 80% of the prize figures they put out. And they are one of the few that don't typically rely on just a plain black base. Because we all know I freaking hate those. And I know a lot of other collectors absolutely hate those. So it is one of those things where, I appreciate any kind of effort, right? So any effort is better than no effort. And I like that. But going with this Marine, obviously, I mean, it's probably I'm looking over here at some of the other Marines I got. It's probably one of the most basic Marines that I've gotten. But, I mean, that's a good shot right there. It is also very, very well detailed. And I like that she also has a different expression on her face. She's got the blushing face. She's winking. She's kind of got an awkward smile on her face. And if you know the series, obviously this is when she's kind of cozying up. She's got Gojo hanging out there watching a show together. And we all know Marine is super, super thirsty for Gojo, especially even at this point of the series. So it's a very, very cool depiction of her. I wish they would actually put this outfit in a relaxed time series figure, almost where she's in a seated position, or have one where she has almost like a couch. Because I think it's cool. I think it's neat to have the characters in different outfits. Obviously, I mean, if you guys have seen this channel, I have the Rems in the hoodies and the slouchies, and the Mikus in the hoodies and the slouchies. Anytime I see a hoodie or a slouchy figure, like, I've got to buy them. Because it adds a little bit more personality to the figure to have, again, all these different outfits. And if you guys know My Trust of Darling, man, does Marine have a variety of outfits. And, it goes from crossplaying like a dude to barely wearing anything. So, she has that huge variety. And getting something like this where she's just slumming it is really cool. I like it. And again, I sing the praises of the Corful line just for even the little details of having a little decoration on the base, because that just goes a little extra effort. It's not much, but it's a little extra effort, and that does make a huge difference, especially in a anime prize figure world filled with these just black bases. They're kind of trash, and I don't think I know any collectors that like them. But all in all, if you're looking for a more casual Marine, again, that is very affordable, I think. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at what her price track is right now. So it's the Corful Marine hoodie figure, right? So let's see. So she's still running for about $22 to $25. So you can definitely get her on the cheap still. And again, I recommend it because it's Marine. She's in something a little bit different, and it does add a little bit of spice and variety to your collection when they're not just all lined up in the same outfits and the same poses. So highly recommend it, as well as all the other Taito Corful Marines if you're a My Dress Up Darling fan. And if you're looking for something that might be a little bit smaller, check out the Sega ones that have like these triangular bases, and they can kind of all connect together. So those are really cool too. But again, I haven't really found a Marine figure that I haven't liked. So highly recommend her. Check her out. She's awesome. But that's going to be it for our Waifu Wednesday. Uh-oh, somebody got mad at me. People get mad over the figures. I don't know, whatever. I'm getting some hate online for some figures, and you know what? That's something that you do. I mean, whatever. We kind of get used to that, being in these spheres, right? In the nerd spheres, we're used to getting picked on and trolled. As I said in my stream the other day, I grew up when liking this stuff got you bullied into oblivion. I was lucky when I was growing up. I had older family members that were in school with me all the time, so I kind of had a shield, right? So I was able to kind of be that nerd and not worry about it, and no one really ever bothered me. But yeah, I said that in one of my streams, and obviously a friend of mine did clip it, one of my viewers, shout out, and it's one of those things where people kind of forget now how lucky we are that the nerd stuff is so widely accepted, right? The fans of the stuff, honestly, are lucky. But then you also bring in kind of a more negative element and a more combative element to your nerd sphere as well. So, it's something we talked about on stream the other day, and we got into a whole big, huge debate about all this stuff. And it was actually really fun. But as someone who has been a fan of anime since it started coming to the States almost, like in popularity on VHS and stuff like that back in the 80s and the 90s, it has been a shock to see the popularity and even how polarizing it is, because you have a lot of people who still do hate anime and think it's cringy and all this other stuff. Obviously, there is some cringy anime, but it has just been a really cool thing, and I think maybe we can get into that in next week's stream. We'll maybe have a bigger conversation about it, set up a few topics, and talk about the anime versus Western stuff. But it's very cool. But then you see things like this. Well, you'll have people getting mad because I highlight a Kotobukiya Bishoujo of one of the horror girls. The cross-played girls like Jason Voorhees or Freddy Krueger or, Pinhead and things like that. And people obviously get all kind of up in arms. Like, that's not what they look like. And it's like, yeah, it isn't. But if you know what Bishoujo means, Bishoujo is essentially loosely translated into pretty girl. So you're not going to have a dude dressed up like a pretty girl. Actually, you kind of do sometimes. But yeah, I mean, for the line itself of Bishoujo, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get the man characters, stuff like that, dressed up as female characters. They did try it with Kotobukiya. I'll give them credit with, I believe it was called don't know if I'm going to get the pronunciation right. I'm going to probably butcher it because I did not collect the line, but I think it was called the Ikimen or something like that, or Ikimen something line. And they made all these kind of, I don't want to say only, I guess they were hyper sexualized male characters, right? In the Bat family. So we had Joker, we had Nightwing, things like that. And they were doing like the booty poses with like the fingers. Let me see if I can bring one up here while I'm talking about it. Let's see, Kotobukiya. I'm going to look it up real quick. Right, so Kotobukiya, it's, I think that was called Ikemen or Ikemen. So I'll bring up this one real quick. Let's bring up this. I want to look up the image. Let me see. We'll see if I can bring this guy up. So this is what I'm talking about right here. And so this is what I'm talking about right here. You see Nightwing, he's doing kind of a shush pose with the booty, kind of doing like you'd have with a female figure. So we did try to do this, and it didn't really take off. I think they did sell decently, but not the way you'd want, and then we had Damian Wayne, we had Robin, we had Red Hood, we had the Joker even. So we did have some of these other characters. So this was kind of the Joker, the pretty boy Joker, but it just didn't take off the way that the female characters in the Bishoujo line does. So, obviously I know some people who bought these and they absolutely love them. Kotobukiya usually doesn't miss. They always do good. But these didn't really knock it out of the park the way the Bishoujos do. And obviously it could be because their costumes were just their base costume. Maybe that has something to do with it. But if you look at Bishoujos, most of the Bishoujos are in their standard costume for the female characters. It's where you have the female characters doing the male costumes, or the female versions of a male character, where they take some liberties with the costume. So if you look at, Rogue and Jean Grey and, X-23 and all these, they're in their standard costumes, just like these Ikemens. So I don't know if it was that, but maybe people wanted them to be a little bit more, revealing. And, they just, I guess the line didn't really do what they wanted to do. And from there, it just kind of went away. We went with the Bat family and we went with the Joker, and that was kind of it. So it was interesting. I guess it was an interesting little experiment, and it didn't really go where I guess they wanted it to go. But that was a little, little tangent from the Waifu Wednesday, because again, it was just because somebody was giving me crap for posting a Bishojo. That was a while ago. I think that was during Halloween week. People are still getting mad about it. But that being said, let's get into That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime with That Time I Got Reincarnated as on a Thursday, obviously. And that, of course, is going to be Rimuru. We brought Rimuru back, of course. We got Lord Rimuru came back, and this time in the super chibi, super kawaii Q-Posket line. Now, guys, this is a line that I always sing the praises of. I started getting into these when the Gigi Monstar was a little one, and she got into Funko Pops and all that other stuff. She was a kid, she's into Funko Pops. We started getting into these, and they're just so much cooler. These are what I always tell people. This is what Funko Pops should have been, right? Something with a lot more personality, something that had a little bit more flair to them, right? And obviously something that wasn't just what they do with Funkos, where it's just the same freaking face and the same freaking mold for everything. I know. Pop Defenders, I know. They have started to up their game a little bit. Too little, too late. But with these, the Q-Poskets, man, if you look up Q-Poskets, there is such a massive variety of Q-Poskets. I mean, they even got like Marvel, DC characters, everything. And these things are so freaking adorable. And they're almost, I know with import fees and tariffs and everything now, they've gone up a little bit, but they're almost the same price as a Funko Pop. And they're bigger than a Funko Pop. And they also have, again, posable heads and things like that. They're usually on a ball joint that connects the neck. So the big head will come onto like a swivel joint. And you can actually move the head in different directions. So with Rimuru, I have his head kind of tilted off to the angle. And it just kind of adds a little bit more personality to him. These are things that I think should be popular in the zeitgeist. And every time I post one, people will say how cute they are. Oh my God, where can I get these? What are these? They'll ask if they're customs. No, they are not. They're Banpresto prize figures. And there are tons of them, guys. If you are into a fandom, type it in and write Q-Posket. And I guarantee you, there's something for you there. Because they just, I don't know what it is, but for some reason, they just haven't popped off, maybe stateside. I don't know how well they do in Japan, but these things are so awesome. And obviously, this is an earlier stage Lord Rimuru. It's not in his final form, so to speak, but he's rocking his fur coat, his fur boots. He's even got the freaking katana hanging off of his back. He's got his scarf on. I love it. I love it so much. And I think just the fact of what they did with the faces, where they made them super cute with the really big, giant, obviously anime eyes, but they're just deformed enough with the big heads to make them stand out and add, again, that little bit of flair and personality. They do have plain black bases, which is a bane of my existence, right? But to be fair, They do have a little bit of bordering around the edges, as you can see here with Rimuru. They have a little bit of design work around the edges, and they do have the Q Posket logo emblazoned on it. So when you have something that's comparable to a Funko Pop, you know, every little bit of detail is going to help you here. And I think these are things that people should be buying and they should be collecting instead of things like Funko Pops that are just landfill fodder to a company that's probably not going to be around in another year. But I highly recommend these guys. I sing their praises so often. I love them. They're small, they're affordable, and there is a ton of figures. I think with this line, I think as far as slime, we may have only gotten Rimuru and Malim. I don't know. I know those are the ones that we have. Let's look up. I'm going to see if there's any other ones. So we do have different versions of Rimuru. So we have a more updated. Oh, and we have Diablo. Okay, so they have added a few. They added Diablo to the line. And then we also have Q Posket Minis, which are really, really tiny versions of them. So they're very, very cool, guys. And again, if you're looking for something small, affordable, super cute, and is not a Funko Pop, definitely look into the Q Poskets. They've got everything. I mean, they've got the Miku characters. They've got Sword Art characters. They've got My Hero characters. They have Marvel characters, DC characters. I think we even have a Chun-Li one from Street Fighter. So like they go all over the place, just like Funko, but not as crazy as Funko, right? So I always tell people, definitely check them out. They are really, really cool. And I know I could talk about Q Poskets all day. I freaking love them. I adore them. If you're going to spend money on a Funko Pop, do yourself a favor. Take that money, buy that same character in a Q Posket. Way cooler piece, way more fun to display. You're not going to be disappointed. But that's it. I won't keep going about Q Poskets. I won't. I'll stop it there because, man, they are the coolest. I love them. I think they're so awesome. Oh, man. And we do have a lot of them. I think we have like 2 shelves of Q Poskets. So... But now that I know they have a Diablo one, I'm going to have to get that one. So, as far as the last figure of the week, so typically I do 5 figures on the channel in short forms for the YouTube shorts, the Instagram reels, and the TikToks. And then I also post a photo or 2 or 3 maybe of each figure on different socials as well, like Twitter and things like that. I decided to do a figure Friday this week, although I did post them a day late, but it was a good one. It was one y'all really liked. Of course, Megumi, back from JJK, figure Friday. This is part of the Luminasta Battle Series, and I love the Luminasta series, guys, especially with the JJK stuff. These are so cool. They are so dynamic. They have extra details added to their bases. I mean, if you look at Megumi here, he's got 2 of his frogs out ready to go. There's another one, a newer one, where he's doing his summon. He's got all the bunnies running around him. So it's very, very cool. And they usually pair up with 1 to 2 other figures, and you can kind of create battle scenes. So this one actually has Toge and Toto that goes with it. So this is actually from, obviously, one of their first encounters. You know, they're wearing the school tracksuit, obviously. And it's really, really cool because you have 3 different characters and they can actually be posed whichever way you want. They do have similar bases. So you guys follow this channel, you've probably seen Toto several times on the channel because the ladies love them some shirtless boy action, and I gotta give it to him. He's doing he's like charging in, ready to punch. Looks really, really cool. Toge is actually lifting his mask down or his face covering down, ready to go, and there's like some effects that go around him. So these are really, really cool figures, and they have such a cool feel to them because, again, as I always like to say, I am a sucker for anything with a dynamic pose, dynamic base, dynamic backgrounds, anything like that. that makes a figure pop. And these definitely stand out. I've done the Gojos and things like that. I think there's a couple I don't have that I am still missing. I gotta stop slacking. I gotta get them. The original Yuji I need to get because I did manage to pick up the Nanami that went with him. So again, there are some really, really cool duos. I have quite a few I have to do for prize figure face-offs. We've got my chair just squeaked really bad. We have a Sukuna versus, God, who is he going against? I think it was a Sukuna versus Gojo. There's another Megami that's out, and he's going against, Daddy Dearest. There is another one of, oh my God, I'm trying to think of what the other ones are. There are so many. I'm literally lost track. But I have probably 6 that I have to get unboxed for prize figure face off. So we're going to have a Sukuna versus Gojo episode, things like that. So definitely some more cool stuff on the way. But if you are looking for something a little bit more high end without being high end, right? These are still very cheap and affordable. They usually range about $30 now. So they're not super, super expensive, when you're going against something that is obviously hundreds of dollars. So I really recommend checking these out, as well as the other Sega Luminosita lines. So you have Luminosita characters from all kinds of series. We've got Freerun, we've got ReZero, we've got Miku's. The only one I don't recommend is the Deep Sea Girl Miku. Oh, God, that one hurt. That one was so bad, guys. Oh, God. I had to say it quietly because it's my girl Miku, but probably the worst made one that I've seen. But other than that, you guys cannot go wrong with the Luminosita series, especially not these ones that go together and form battle scenes. So freaking cool. I absolutely love them. And again, I highly, highly recommend checking them out. So one thing I kind of didn't do in the last episode, which I used to do in the weekly roundup segments, was after I would show off all the figures, I would kind of give my thoughts and pick a favorite. Well, last week's episode, it was kind of a best of 2025, right? So I didn't pick a favorite. I actually showed you guys what my favorite was. And of course, it was the Armored All Might Ichiban Kuji figure. So I kind of changed up a little bit for that episode. But now, when I go and I look at all these figures, it is very, very tough to pick a favorite. So what I typically do is I go and I pick a favorite higher end and a favorite lower end. Well, today, we only had lower end stuff. So we had all prize figures. So it's going to be just one figure. And honestly, as much as I love the Rem, as much as I love the Maureen in her cozy hoodie jammies, I gotta actually go, and I think I gotta give it to the Pinky, which is over here, not over here. She's over here. I think I gotta give it to her because, guys, it's one of the only Pinky figures that we have. And I love the character and I love her design. And I think this Age of Heroes is so freaking good. It even does give her a little bit more personality than a lot of the other Age of Heroes, like entry level lines did. Just by giving her a little bit more of a pose. She's kind of doing a flex, like a cheering pose. I don't know what it is, but I absolutely love this one. And I know, I was gonna give it to Megami. I was gonna give Megami my pick for this week. So it is a real toss-up. I want to give it my favorite to her. But I mean, honestly, the honorable mention is gonna be Megami. And I think it's just the bias towards there only being one figure of Mina that gives her that edge for me. So if I'm going between Megami and I'm going with Mina, I gotta give it to Mina just off of the pure rarity of the figure. So that was my pick this week. let me know if you're here in the chat or if you're watching this in the VOD after, who your favorite figure was this week. And, you know, I mean, maybe as these segments start to roll through, we start doing these episodes, at the end of the month, we might do a kind of a showdown where we can have a poll, we can have all the best figures that were rated, and we can kind of do something. But again, it's going to be something will evolve as the show evolves, right? So I absolutely adore the Mina. I gotta give it to her. It's just, I don't know. It's a hard one for me. So I gotta lean towards her just because of that rarity of her. Rem is best. Of course, Rem is best. Yes. You know, just because you said that, I'll show Rem real quick. I'll bring Rem back up because you mentioned Rem. So yes, Rem is best girl. She is. But as much as, again, I love this one too, I gotta go and give it to Mina based off the rarity alone because she is someone who deserves more figures. I think if she did get more figures, they would sell. So that's just my opinion. Could be my bias. But again, more My Hero ladies and more My Hero figures in general is not a bad thing. So that's my pick, and I'm sticking to it. I'm not changing my mind. But again, let me know. Obviously, I know who your favorite was. So there was a vote for Rem right there. But let me know. Hey, what's up, JT? How we doing, man? What's going on? Man, you're up late tonight? Hey, you know that she was my pick. She was my pick this week. You know, Ant gave it to Ant picked Rem. He's picking Rem in the chat. He said Rem was best, but you know, we had some good ones this week. But you know, I gotta go with Mina because Mina is, again, she's a rare one. So that was my pick for the week. Again, guys, I know I'm repeating myself, but that was kind of it. So that's it for all of the figure portion of things. So we've shown all of the figures now that I highlighted. And normally what I would do in the weekly roundup segment is at this point I would kind of give some channel updates, you know, do some boring stuff. Oh, did you watch the new episode of Vigilantes? Oh, that's right, because it's Monday. Yeah, that's right. It's My Hero Vigilantes Monday. That's right. Nice, man. I gotta watch it. I gotta watch the new episode. I'll probably watch it later on today. Yeah, I'll have to watch that. I didn't see it yet. I love Vigilantes. It's so good. I love that they're able to keep My Hero going even though the main series is over, you know. Although I would like to see kind of a fast forward into the future where they're all adults, you know. I especially want to see how Aries' power evolves as she ages too, as she actually gets a grasp on that power. Yeah, I saw it was supposed to be, the new episode supposed to deal with Aizawa. Yep. But yeah, I would love to see, like I said, I would love them to continue on with My Hero. I think My Hero is, I actually got into an argument last night about it with people saying that, you know, Bleach and Naruto and, what was the third one? One Piece are, you know, the most goated trio. And you know what? I argued with people and said, not for me. Bleach, I loved for a little while, got out of it. Naruto, I loved for like a season or two, got out of it. One Piece, I hated the art style, still do to this day, couldn't get into it, and probably never will. My Hero, I think, is one of my favorite series that has had obviously a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I adore it. I think it's great. And I think it is one of my favorite animes just because even just with the messages involved in it. I think it's got a great message. It's got a great story. The Full Metal, oh god, well yeah, Full Metal Alchemist is one of the best too. Full Metal Alchemist is great. like I said, I mean, we could literally transfer into talking about anime all day now, but but there are, there are a lot of, series that I love. I always tell people one of my favorite series of all time, the manga never even finished, and they had to finish it up in an anime, which was X. X was a Clamp series, and it was absolutely incredible, and it has one of my favorite opening songs ever by the band X Japan, who I absolutely adore. Rest in peace to about 80% of the members of that band. Most of them are dead now. But it was a fantastic show. And it was so great. I loved it. I named my dog after one of the characters in the series. I loved it. And it's one a lot of people don't know much about. So it's one I always recommend to people. It's really, really cool. Yeah, oh yeah, House of the Dead. High School of the Dead, not House of the Dead. High School of the Dead was really, really good too. I love that. That was one of the I don't want to say first fan servicey animes I got into, but it was one I got really, really deep into when that came out. And I was just like blown away by it because I loved zombies. Of course, you love the fan service in it. It was really, really good. But yeah, so before I get into this stuff, I want to kind of tie up the figure portion here and do some quick page updates. So again, this past week I was still trying to tie things up. I do have a video that's going to drop, my first haul video essentially, which is going to contain some very cool stuff that's literally all piled up here around me. I did actually pick up some really cool stuff on clearance. I did manage to get some cool stuff over at one of my retro game stores, Game Exchange, and these were all 50% off, so I had to grab them. So I did get an Ida Kuji figure because I don't really have enough Ida figures. And I had to get him because it's my boy. He was also half off. I had to get my boy Red Riot, of course. So I got 2 new Kuji figures from a series that I haven't actually done any of the figures for. So this one actually also has, let's see if I can show it here. So this one actually has a couple of the ones I want. I want Froppy and I want Eraserhead from this set. And maybe the Aravity. But the trio of the boys I don't really need because I have so many of them. But very, very, very cool to get it. And I also, speaking of Froppy, spoiler alert for the video, I got a Froppy. I'm so excited. I got a Glitter and Glamorous Froppy. Finally, I love Froppy. She's so cool. I'm so happy to get this. I don't know who I'm going to put her up against in Prize Figure Face-Off yet, but I'm going to do the Glitter and Glamours lines against each other. So we're going to have Toga versus Aravity. I've got Hatsume and Mirko, and I have this one, and I do have one more coming in, so I might have enough to do 2v2, or 1v1 for a few of them, but very excited about that. I'm very excited. So we will be doing a whole huge kind of holiday, beginning of the year kind of haul before the big video, which is the giant Big Bad Toy Store pile of loot, consisting of like 30 figures. So we're going to have that too. So I've got a couple different haul videos to do. And then we're going to get into the unboxings. And the first unboxing is going to be the Denji and Beam Ichiban Kuji figure. You guys saw that last week on the stream. Freaking massive big boy. We're going to unbox that. I'm going to have that one ready to go. And then Prize Figure Face Off is going to come back this week on Friday, where I normally do it. I don't know who it's going to be between yet. I do have a ton, but I might do a Jujutsu Kaisen Face Off, but I'm trying to figure out, again, I might do a My Hero one because I haven't done a My Hero one yet. So we're going to see. I know, excuse me, I know I've been trying to jump through the different anime series and not kind of stick with the same one for the face-offs. So we will see. I think it might be a My Hero one. Maybe we'll have some glitter and glamours. We'll see. But yeah, that's pretty much it for page updates, and then just game streams throughout the week. Still going to be doing Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. I stopped doing gaming streams on Wednesdays because now I am doing this live stream on Mondays, so I got to give myself some kind of a break. And we did beat Avatar last week, and I did some Zenless Zone Zero streaming this weekend, and that was fun. So I'm going to tie up the new story in Zenless Zone Zero on stream tomorrow, and I'm still trying to get the tiebreakers for what I should play on stream next. It's been neck and neck with Code Vein 2, which I'd have to go buy, and Final Fantasy 12 Zodiac Age. So people actually want me to go back and do that. I love that game. It's one of my top 5 Final Fantasies. So we'll see. I mean, I was looking for other suggestions. So if people have any other suggestions, as I say, let me know. I probably have the game, or I can get the game, because, I'm always looking for something new to play. But that's it for the basic page updates. So we have some time for topics and things like that. Now that's what I'm doing with these live streams. So we'll get into some topics, but first I'm going to check real quick. Have you watched any food cooking anime? The only food cooking anime I watched is Food Wars, which I really liked the beginning of that. I didn't like Food Wars as much once it got into, oh my god, what season was it? Was it season 3? Where they were starting to have to try to escape from things. I think that's what it was. But I've actually unboxed a couple of the giant quarter scale bunny girls from that series. So I did Alice and I forget who else I did from that series. I know I did Alice. I don't see the other one up there. Oh, Erina. I see her up there now. So I did do some of those. But yeah, Food Wars is probably the only food anime I've really watched. I think Gigi was watching, was it Campfire Cooking in a Dungeon or something? Or Delicious in a Dungeon, that's right. So I gotta start watching that, because I heard that's really good. But other than that, I haven't really done a lot of cooking anime. I do sports animes because they're just kind of entertaining, like certain sports anime. But yeah, I have to figure out what I'm going to play next. And, one of the things I do want to set up, I'm trying to obviously set up the logistics for it, is if we start getting members here on the channel, obviously, stuff like that. I want to start doing things like watch parties where we'll pick members only streams, and we'll do viewings of anime series together. We'll all kind of go through this series together and watch stuff. So something down the line I want to start doing as obviously things hopefully start to catch on and grow here with the channel. Soma cooking. Is that a show? Or are you talking an anime series? You're just talking about Food Wars, right? Food Wars is hilarious. Oh man, the show is so out of control. Yeah. I just don't remember which season it was that I watched up till, and then I kind of checked out because it got really... It shifted more towards the foodie stuff to more they're out to get us and we have to escape. And I don't know if things kind of switch back over time. I kind of dropped off with it, but I really, really liked it a lot. And Alice is best girl in that show. Erina is not best girl in that show. It is Alice 150,000%. So that's a fact. You can't argue with me. And and I also love her bunny girl too. Her bunny girl is incredible looking. So But yeah, as far as I got a couple of kind of topics I did line up here that are like gaming related. Obviously I want to talk a little bit about I don't know what to pick first. I mean, there is kind of not really the best stuff to talk about, but I kind of want to talk a little bit about Highguard. I did try it. Yeah, that was actually a good part. I remember seeing that. I haven't watched that anime in God years, so I'm not sure where I want to go first. If I want to talk Resident Evil, if I want to talk Highguard, or if I want to just kind of mention let's get that out of the way right now. I'm going to just say it right now, and I'm just going to make a plain, flat out conversation about it. Plain thing. I watched the Super Bowl yesterday. I went to my parents' house. They had a big party, whatever. And I got to say, the commercials sucked this year. Did anyone else watch the Super Bowl and see the Super Bowl ads? There was nothing. There was nothing there. The only thing we got was a de-aged Jurassic Park trailer, which I thought was kind of neat. And we got trailers for trailers during the Super Bowl trailers. I think we got a Minions one that was like, go online and watch the trailer now. But we didn't get anything really cool. There was no crazy reveals. We didn't get like a Supergirl trailer. We didn't get an Avengers kind of teaser thing. We didn't get a Spider-Man teaser, which is supposed to come out in, 3 months? I think, is it Spider-Man? It comes out first, I think, right? Spider-Man Far From Home. No, not Far From Home. Brand New Day, right? That's supposed to come out in July, so that's coming out pretty soon. And we didn't get anything, not even like a little teaser for the Super Bowl with like his mask or just with him in the suit. We got nothing. And normally, like, that's the one thing I look for about the Super Bowl. I don't watch sports. And I will go to Super Bowls and Super Bowl parties with my family and stuff like that. And I'll watch it and I'll be all excited about like what the next cool reveal is going to be. And man, we didn't get anything. So besides the game sucking ass, yes, Super Bowl was I didn't really care for either one of the halftime shows because I'm not a fan of either of the music that was playing. But whatever. If we put the girls from Huntrix up there on stage, I would have been all for it. Like, let's go. But sadly, they didn't perform. But yeah, I think it was kind of a letdown. We didn't get any cool gaming stuff. We didn't get any cool movie stuff, really. I was excited that we got a new Minions coming. I love the Minions. They're stupid fun. But other than that, we didn't get anything, and it was kind of a letdown. So that was the quick take on the Super Bowl. Didn't watch, didn't really care. Didn't have a skin in the game for the teams. But the commercial sucked, and it was super disappointing. And it kind of brought down my mood a little bit, besides the game being ass. It's something got lost there with the commercials. And I just think maybe Hollywood has gone and said, hey, we ain't making much money off our movies. We can't afford $3 million for a Super Bowl spot. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but they kind of just said, hey, whatever, and they just didn't put anything out. So it was really weird. It was really, really weird. There's usually commercials that everyone's talking about. I haven't seen anyone talking about commercials. I've seen them talking about the halftime shows and the alternate halftime show and all this other stuff. I don't give a crap about any of that. I just wanted some cool commercials, and we didn't get anything cool, anything fun. It was kind of very, very much a letdown. But speaking of things I might be a little let down about, and I'm going to be in the minority. Let's do that. Let's talk about Resident Evil 9. Resident Evil, I think it's Requiem, right? Let's I'm going to be in the minority here, right? But I was skeptical about this game when I first saw it, okay? I was a person, I mean, I've been playing the Resident Evil games since they first came out, right? Since day one. Excuse me. I hope that muted quick enough. I apologize if it didn't. But yeah, I go back with Resident Evil since the first game. I loved Resident Evil 1. It was revolutionary, right, back then. Loved Resident Evil 2. Loved it. Adored it. Resident Evil 3, I was a little hit or miss with. 4 is where the series started to lose me. And if you guys obviously have been watching my Resident Evil 4 streams of the remake, I rant about that all the time, right? I know 4 is regarded as the peak of Resident Evil, right? In my opinion, it's where Resident Evil started to fall off. It started to the decline of Resident Evil. So it hit its peak and then it dropped right through the ground with 5 and 6. 5 and 6 were just trash. They were action games. They weren't horror games. And 4 was the same. Okay? 4 had a couple of cool moments, but they were very action focused. And I even said that during the remake stream, with how little they put into the horror aspect of Resident Evil. And then that changed when we got 7. Freaking love 7. I think now, still to this day now, that might be one of my favorite Resident Evil games. It might be up there. I think it's leaps and bounds way better than 4. I do. I loved it, and I was very excited. So, we went to 8, and I was excited where it was going to go. And 8 did the same trope as 4. It went heavy action. Heavy, giant set pieces and crazy things like that. So we went right back into the mistake that I feel made with 4, where we leaned too much into action. So when 9 got announced, we're going to get into 9 right now, JT. I loved what I was seeing so far with 9. I was a little iffy about I don't know if she's... What is the girl, the main character? Let me look up her name. Who is it? It's, what's her name? Grace. Okay, so yeah. So Grace is supposed to be, the main character, right? I was a little iffy about it just from what we saw early on, right? I don't know. I mean, what we saw early on, I was like, okay, is this girl is she autistic, neurodivergent, anxiety ridden, And then we started to learn that there's going to be an anxiety portion to the character, right? She just came off as a very scared, very kind of jittery, twitchy kind of person in the trailers. And I was like, I don't know if I like that. But as I started to see a little bit more of how they were going to kind of use the anxiety and the fear, I started to get a little more hopeful. And now I'm going to bring up right there your boy, JT. I'm going to bring up your boy right now with the reveal of Leon. And I'm going to say it, and I'm going to get, everyone's going to hate me for this. I don't care. Leon made me lose interest in this game a little bit more. I'm sorry. I know it's a very unpopular opinion. And I said it during my RE4 remake streams. Leon is kind of... He just doesn't do it. He doesn't do it for me. I don't want to say he's beta, but he is very much, going through Resident Evil 4, he's kind of incompetent. Everything he does and the choices he makes are pretty freaking stupid. Whereas, I was always a fan of Chris. So if we brought Chris Redfield in the 9, I probably would have been a little bit more excited about it. Because Chris is that competent, badass, like take no prisoners, let's go kind of dude. Honestly, I mean, the thing about, okay, we'll go there. The thing about Ethan was because it was first person perspective, it made it feel like it was you. Right? Do you know what I mean? The first person perspective put you into that character. Whereas if it was Ethan in third person, I probably would have had the same vibe as I do with Leon. But you also have to remember, Ethan was kind of just a normal dude. Okay? He wasn't a highly trained soldier. He wasn't, CIA or FBI or anything like that. Ethan was kind of just a dude that got brought into this stuff. So the fear was there in Resident Evil 7. Which is why I was so intrigued by 9, because it felt like she was just going to be, like I said, I got a vibe that maybe she was like neurodivergent and anxiety ridden and stuff like that, and that was going to play a part in the game. Now you're showing me that we're going to have Leon come back, so he's going to kind of do that. Oh, I mean, yeah, Jill's up there. Her and Ada, they're up there, except for the new voice of Ada. Let's not talk about that. Let's not stray too far. But with 9, I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. And like I said, when they just revealed that we're going to get Leon, it made me a little less excited. Because now I know with the addition of Leon, we're going to have the action focus at some points in the game. It might not be all of the game, but we're going to have the action focus. And like, I'm not sure how I feel about that yet. So it's tough. I just don't know how I should feel about it, let's see if I can bring this up real quick. I'm going to put it on mute. I want to try to bring up the trailer for a minute. I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to mute the trailer. I don't want to get copyright hit, but let's see if I can do this here. All right. So I want to just show this real quick, and I'll talk about the game a little bit while I'm doing it. But like when we're seeing her here in the trailer, right? I'm okay with this. I'm okay with the crazy kind of feeling of the frightened girl, in another creepy mansion. I'm okay with that. And again, something like this where you're seeing the zombie, but it's talking to her. I think it's really cool, and it does add to tension. But then when you go in and you get, we've got these wild people. I mean, going everywhere, right? I want to see if I can find them. We've got the cars obviously rolling up, the police rolling up for Raccoon City or wherever this. I think it's taking place in Raccoon City still. We're going back, right? We've got the police. Where is he? So we're going with, more of the new strand of virus, so to speak. And you can just tell by the looks of her that she is scared. She is fearful. And I like seeing that. So everything about this trailer had me going pretty excited. She's hiding, she's scared. They even make it where she's sweating. I like all this. So everything I've been seeing has me hyped. But then we go in and let's see if we can bring him up. Is this where we're going to bring him up right here? We bring this up, and this is where it kind of started to lose me a little bit again. We brought Leon up, and then boom, here we are. Cars moving around fast. We're going to kind of go a little bit more action-y because it's Leon, right? So I don't know how I feel about it yet with him being added to the game. And it just makes me wonder if it's going to be another RE4 where it's going to be a babysitting mission. When you're Leon, you're babysitting, you're doing high action. Everything, again, we're seeing with Leon is hatcheting, ripping people apart, all this stuff. So I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. I'm very torn. And I know I'm in the minority, but I don't know what to think about it yet. Do I have any Resident Evil figures that I could show on stream? Ooh, oh God, I don't think I actually have any Resident Evil stuff. Trying to think. That's a good question, actually. Damn. I actually don't think I have any Resident Evil figures. It's not really a. They have a lot of statues, like a lot of expensive statues for Resident Evil, but I don't think I have any. No, I actually don't. I might have to remedy that. I did have a Ada Wong, and she arrived broken. So I did have one a while ago, but I had to return her because she was broken. And I never got another one. So, yeah, I don't actually have any Resident Evil figures. But again, Resident Evil, it's not one of my favorite series. As far as horror games go, I actually liked... I actually preferred The Evil Within over Resident Evil. Yeah, the collector's edition comes with... what does it come with? Doesn't it come with like a statue? Oh yeah, it comes with a statue of, is it of Leon? I know one of them, but that's the Japanese version, I think, that comes with a statue. I'm pretty sure, I don't think, oh no, Village had a statue. I don't think, is there a statue version of it? Yeah, I know they all have figures, but they're more like they're more expensive figures, right? And that's the thing, is if I'm not super into the series, I don't typically spend a lot of money on the figures for that series, you know. It's one of those things where if I could find them cheap, I'll buy them. But again, Resident Evil, as far as horror games go, you know, back when they first came out, I loved them, but the later iterations of them, I didn't like them as much. I liked other games like Dead Space over them, and The Evil Within and stuff like that. So I fell off with my love for Resident Evil after 4. And 7, like I said, 7 brought me back up, and 8 crashed me right back down. So I have a very up and down, very rocky relationship with Resident Evil. So I have hopes for 9, but I also have some bias against it, I'm gonna say. So that's kind of my thoughts on 9. I'm not as hyped as a lot of other people are. I'm probably not gonna buy it day one. From what the rumors are, it's gonna be around, I think they said around 6 hours of gameplay with her and 6 hours of gameplay with Leon. Don't quote me on that, but that's just what I've been seeing. So we're looking at about 12 hours of content, you know, and obviously there's going to be replayability. There's going to be beat it in, you know, under so many hours. There's going to be all that stuff. But I just don't know if I'm as excited about it. And as far as Resident Evil 9 Collector Edition, I'm not actually seeing one. Resident Evil Requiem pre-order, I'm looking for it right now. I'm not seeing like a statue version. Is there one? There was one for Village. It's a deluxe edition. Oh, see, Last of Us was a fantastic game. Last of Us was a fantastic game. I'm trying to see if there's a pre-order for a collector's edition. So there's standard, digital, and steelbook editions. So there's an acrylic stand version in Japan. Okay, so let's see if I can pull this up. So there is not a statue version of this. There's only one with a acrylic stand. So let's see if I can open this. Oh God, that's tiny. Never mind. That's a tiny, tiny, tiny picture. I cannot pull up like a good picture of it, but it comes with a steelbook and an acrylic stand of her. So we're not getting a huge statue version. So little bummer, but yeah, Last of Us. I loved The Last of Us. There's only one Last of Us game, and it was a perfect game. It was great. I loved it. But there's only one Last of Us game. Those of you who think there's a second game, you're in a fever dream. You're delusional. It doesn't exist. There is no Last of Us 2 game. But yeah, that was a great horror game too. And that was another one that kind of pulled me away from Resident Evil. But, you know, I was definitely a fan of what they were doing with Evil Within and Dead Space. And I wish we would get more Dead Space games, more in that series. But, I mean, I guess there's only so much we can do in that, world. Well, Last of Us really only had very expensive Prime 1 statues and the collector's edition statue, and I don't think I have. Do I have that one? I'm trying to actually think now. Now you got me actually thinking. I know I have the Days Gone collector's edition statue. I have the Horizon ones, the God of War ones. Do I have the Last of Us one? I don't think I do. That one had Ellie and Joel kind of together, I think, if I am correct. But yeah, that was a good one too. But again, I love a lot of things that I don't have collectibles for because obviously you only have so much money. If I owned every collectible from everything I loved, I mean, I'd have to be a multimillionaire. But there's some things, even with collector editions, that sell out and you can't get them, But, scalpers love it. Oh, the Dark Horse statue? Which one was that? The Dark Horse Direct one? Oh, like just the standard ones? Or the one on horseback? Are you looking at the one? Are you talking about the one on the horseback or just the standard figures? Because I know they made a horseback one and then they made some really badly sculpted in the face ones of Ellie. Yeah, there was a. Let's see, Last of Us Collector Edition. No, the Last of Us Collector Edition had a statue of Ellie and Joel together. And it's very expensive to get that nowadays. Try to see if I can pull up an image of it. Last of Us did have one, and it is. I'm going to pull it up right now if I can find it. Yeah, there was a statue of Ellie and Joel together. And of course, I can't find a good picture of it. I'm trying to find a good one because I'll pull it up because there was one. It was, let's see, can I open this one? God, they're so small. Everything's like thumbnails. That's the problem. But yeah, there was one, 100%. It was the two of them together. It was called the Post-Pandemic Edition. So let's see. Here it is right here. Let me share my screen here real quick. This was it right here. So as you can see here, it came with Steelbook edition of The Last of Us. It came with a comic book, a Dark Horse comic book, and then it came with a huge 12-inch statue by Project Triforce. So yeah, this did exist. A friend of mine actually had it, and he got it, and right here, Joel's shotgun, that was actually broken, and the tip of Ellie's sniper rifle here was broken on his, and he couldn't get a replacement. So he had to just stick with what he had. But yeah, this was a thing. Last of Us 2. There was no Last of Us 2. You're hallucinating. Doesn't exist. There is no Last of Us 2. But yeah, that was a good one. I like that statue, and I wish I would have gotten it. I just, again, when Last of Us came out, I didn't know what to expect yet, so I didn't want to spend $250 on a collector edition. It's another thing is collector editions are very expensive, and it's like, I don't know this IP, but the statue looks cool. Do I want to buy it? And that was one I I regret not getting. I loved the Uncharted games, and I kicked myself for never getting that one. But again, I know one or two people that have gotten it, that got it, and it was broken. So maybe I lucked out. But I know buying it aftermarket now is very, very expensive. So, but let's see. I did Super Bowl. We talked about Super Bowl commercials sucking. We dipped into my hot take on Resident Evil 9. And, before I go here, what I want to bring up is I want to talk a little bit about a game I tried and was very unimpressed by. And that is Highguard. So I don't know if anyone's played Highguard, but it's not doing too hot. So if you guys know, Jeff Keighley came out to Game Awards and he had this big announcement, guys. Big announcement. It's the last game. It's the last game that's going to come out, right? Last trailer of the Game Awards. And everyone's speculating. Everyone's getting excited. And then they drop this generic looking hero shooter thing, right? That looks like the most generic of generic things. And it was Highguard. And I saw it and just went, so it's what, Overwatch on horses? Like, whoa, what are we doing? And I get it, not made for me, right? I'm not a hero shooter guy. My limit is Fortnite, right? Fortnite is it for me for online games. So I wanted to bring this up because it's kind of funny. And here's the Steam charts. Let's bring this up real quick for Highguard. Now, this is kind of rough. And now that I've been using PC, I started going to Steam charts and things like that. Now, we have 3,489 people playing right now. And its peak in the last 24 hours has been 6,000. Right? All-time peak of 97,000. Which, 97,000, that's a great number, right? But if you look right now, so let's take a look at another game, right? We'll say Marvel Rivals right here. I'm going to refresh this and see what's going on. 62,000 players right now, and it is 11:50 in the morning Eastern time. And we've had, in the last 24 hours, 120,000 players at peak. So you compare that to Highguard, which just came out, 2 weeks ago? A couple weeks ago, right? 6,000 players to 120,000. That is a massive difference, right? So we'll talk about Highguard here for a second and what it did. Honestly, it came out, and I'm going to say the same thing about the new Horizon game too, but it has come out in a time right now where people are so over analytical of every game that's going to come out, right? We are looking at everything, right? We are looking at every detail in every game, and we're going, excuse me, we're looking at every single thing about every game, and we're picking it apart right now. Because we're looking for these things, right? And with Highguard, it just looked like the most generic thing. It just did, and I wonder if I can pull it up and we'll mute it, right? Well, obviously I'll mute it because I don't want to have copyright. But man, it just got announced and it was the most generic feeling thing ever. So let's bring this up while I talk about it. I'll bring up the trailer, obviously, and kind of chat about it a little bit here. So This trailer drops, and it just looks like every other generic hero shooter, right? I played it. I tried it. I gave it a try. And to me, it felt like, again, the most generic kind of paint by numbers, let's try to get a quick payday kind of game. It just felt generic. Everything about it when playing it. The only cool thing that I think was different about it was having the mount, right? Having the mount. But you had these massive battlegrounds and these massive worlds that you can barely find people in. And I think that was another thing, was your arenas and your maps are too huge, right? I think they've made it 5v5 now. So now you actually have a better chance of finding some people to fight. But they unfortunately did less focusing on the mount and the mounted combat and all that stuff, to where that could have been a really cool aspect to this game if they had made it more focused on the mounted combat. And, you know, having the abilities like they're showing here is really cool, but then we go and we've got assault rifles and crap like that. If we would have made it where we had medieval weaponry, this would have been a little bit cooler, I think. But it kind of set up everything against itself. And it's, again, it has flopped. I mean, right here we go. I mean, the numbers are here. 3,000 people are playing it right now. That is nothing. Let's just look up. Let's look up Fortnite. Can we look up Fortnite? Let's see what Fortnite is doing right now. All right, we don't have that right now on this one. I don't know. This one sucks, because we're not affiliated with Valve. But these numbers are not good, right? It's just not doing well. And it makes me wonder, you know, again, who is this for? And it just feels like if you want to download a generic shooter, if you want to try something new, great, try it. And it just seems like when you try to make that broad audience game, you're making it for no audience. And it's showing. And people are attacking each other going, well, you just don't want to support it. No, it's just, we've seen this before and we don't care. And that's my take on it. I've seen this before. I've played this before. And the one aspect you had that seems a little different, which was the horses and maybe putting some medieval kind of weaponry in it, you didn't run with that. So I don't know. It seems like all in all, we kind of failed, right? This failed. It's going to be a failure. It's going to flop. I don't know what kind of player base they need to keep it going. I don't know how long it's going to stay going. But I think we can chalk it up to, again, if you make a game that you try to overly appeal to everybody, you're going to appeal to nobody. And then people are going to look at your game and go, that looks generic. I've played this before. I don't really care. And that's just how it goes. And people are going to call out other people for not liking it. You know what? Again, I got called out too. I tried it. I played it. Not a fan of it. Didn't like it at all. It just felt generic. And you know what I did? I went right back and I played Fortnite. Because Fortnite is, you know, as much as I used to hate it, Fortnite is a game that it's constantly evolving itself. It's constantly, you know, changing. It's evolving, and it has so many other moving pieces to it now with all the different things you can do. You have your Minecraft type thing in Lego Fortnite. You've got your rhythm game from Harmonix, the guys who did Rock Band. You know, you have all these cool little things, and then you have the racing thing. So you have all these other cool things in this hub where you can play everything. And then you've got, you know, something like Marvel Rivals that's dwarfing Highguard. But again, it's something people want. It's giving them character designs they want, characters they want to play as. And it's killing it. You know, Marvel Rivals is doing great. And, it just feels like Highguard, you know, it's doing a little bit better than Concord did. But at the same time, Highguard is a free-to-play, free-to-download game. And Concord was a $40 game. And that is going to make me wonder how the new game, I got a little bit more time, so we'll roll into this one. It makes me wonder how, let's see if I can get it here, the Horizon multiplayer game is going to be. I'm not sure how Hunter's Gathering is going to be, right? I just don't know what I think about that yet, right? It just doesn't seem like it's going to be what we want, but I'm a sucker for the Horizon games. I do like them a lot, and I'm going to bring this up right now. Before we end the stream, I want to react to this just a little bit. I am not going to put the audio on it because I don't want to get copyrighted, but I'm just going to talk about just some of the designs, right? I love the Horizon games. I love the world that they built with it. But this right here it looks like Fortnite, Horizon created in Fortnite, if that makes any sense. So, I mean, everything's there, the character designs are there, or kind of. The vaults are there. The animatronic, creatures are there. Everything is there, but it's very cartoony for that more mass appeal. And I think by doing that, you're going to alienate some of your Horizon audience, right? Now, obviously, you're going to recognize some of these characters. You're not going to recognize some of them. But this Aloy, right? I'm going to back this up real quick. This Aloy looks like the Fortnite Aloy. It looks like the Fortnite design for Aloy, because you could unlock her in Fortnite through one of the things. And this right here looks like Fortnite Aloy, right? So we've already kind of pulled you out of the Horizon world, right? I mean, these characters do look like Horizon characters, absolutely, but making it that cartoony style might hurt this. And I think the thing that'll hurt this the most, I mean, obviously we got people right here talking about this one right here. So we got the internet is blowing up about this character right here. This one. Okay. And as a big girl, all right, it's a very big girl. She's moving very fast. I'm not even going to crap on this character design. I'm going to say it definitely has Concord vibes to it. It has that vibe. But one thing I'm going to say about this game is it does look better than Highguard. Just going to say, I think it looks better than Highguard. But I don't really care for this art style in my Horizon universe. I would have preferred if we had just another regular looking Horizon game with multiplayer. Now, one thing I want to say is, which I thought was kind of funny right here, is we have the big girl, right? So if you look at her super move right here, I got to back it up again. This is pretty funny. So we make the big girl, right? This is a big bitch. We make her looks like her special move is going to be to project a hamster ball around her and run forward into enemies. So look at this really quick right now. She's going to hamster ball into the enemies. That was a very quick clip, but I thought it was kind of funny that the heavy set girl is going to turn into a hamster ball and roll at enemies. But then we've got something like this that looks like generic samurai character. So I don't know, and this one almost has like a Middle Eastern, like Arabian Nights kind of Prince of Persia look to her. So all these characters have a different look to them that I don't know if it's, I don't want to say leaning into some ethnicities, so to speak, but it is a little different. And having the characters that look like they came out of the Horizon games, or the ones that did, and then kind of bringing these other ones in, it's just like, Okay, now we've got the elderly guy too. It looks a little jarring to me as someone who's a fan of the Horizon games. But like I said, I think it looks better than Highguard. I definitely think I would have more fun playing this than Highguard. But the big question I have, and this is my biggest concern with this, right? Is this game going to cost money? Is Sony going to do a Concord with this and charge people to buy this game? And I think that is going to make one of the biggest factors. If this game comes out and it's free to play, it's going to probably end up like Highguard. People are going to come in, they're going to try it, they're going to leave and go on to something better. They're going to go on to something to Fortnite. If they want a game that looks like this, they're probably going to go play Fortnite. But I think if Sony charges money for this game, it is going to be another Concord. Just like I think Marathon is going to probably end up like Concord. I don't think Marathon's going to do very well either, because you're charging people an entry fee to go into an online multiplayer game where the competition is out and it's free and it's massive and it's Fortnite and it's Marvel Rivals and these games are free to play. And I think by charging people money for them, you shoot yourself in the foot. That's just my thoughts on it. And I know I was going to just talk about Highguard, but with the Horizon announcement, I feel like they kind of run parallel to each other, because we're seeing in real time right now what is happening with Highguard and not even peak, if you want to call it that, but the immense drop off that game has already had in less than a month. Where we look at something like, even Arc Raiders numbers are massive. But I didn't want to go Arc Raiders because, it's not a hero shooter type thing. So I went with Rivals. But even Rivals is dwarfing it. So all in all, I think Sony has done a lot of stupid things this year, right? This gen, I should say. Concord was probably the biggest thing they did. And if they don't do this launch of the Horizon multiplayer game right, it's going to be another failed online freaking just slop fest. And in a internet that is flooded, overflowing with just hero shooters and online shooters and free to play slop and mobile game crap. It just, there is so much competition and a lot of it is free. And if you're going to put out a game and you're going to charge money for it, you're already hurting yourself, because unless someone knows that game right out the gate is going to be good, they're not going to buy it, And that's just my thoughts on it. Like I said, look at Highguard. Highguard came out as a free game. I played it. I tried it. I think it sucks. I think there could be some cool elements to it, but they focused on things they shouldn't have focused on. They made the maps way too big. And again, they should have focused more on mounted combat and medieval weaponry. I think those are the two things that would have made that game way more fun than what it turned out as. But I know I went off topic by talking about the Horizon game, but I feel like they are kind of there in the same breath, right? You're going to compare all these games. When Horizon game comes out, you're going to compare it to other online games. But I think the art design for it looks just like I said. It looks like Horizon Zero Dawn made in Fortnite. It doesn't look like Horizon Zero Dawn Online Edition. It's jarring Sorry, I was reading what that was. Sorry, I had a chat delay. Sure, they all look like trash. No, and that's the thing is if you're gonna make these kind of games, you have to make them look less generic. What Bungie's doing with Marathon, super freaking generic looking. What they did with Highguard, super freaking generic looking. What they're doing with the Horizon online multiplayer game has a little bit of the aesthetic, but with a generic coat of paint. And that's the thing. I can't get behind it. Sorry, my chair is squeaking like crazy. Hopefully you guys aren't hearing that. I just don't know when companies are going to learn to stop focusing on these online only shooters or shooter-esque games or things like that, because there are too many of them now. The space is overfilled with them, and they can't all be sustainable at the end of the day. I mean, look at what we did with the finals, things like that. I mean, I know they turned it around and they made Arc Raiders, but there are too many online games like this. And just like with MMOs, there are your big dogs. And you might think you're going to take away from those big dogs, but you're not. You're not going to take away from your Call of Duties and your Battlefields. And, I'm going to put Marvel Rivals and Arc Raiders up there now, and Fortnite. You're not going to take a big piece of that pie. And unless you are standing out from the crowd like Arc Raiders did, like Marvel Rivals did, you are not going to survive in it. And I think that is the big thing that people forget. Is when you're making these games, you have to stand out. You have to do something, and you have to just blow people away. If you don't blow people away right out the gate, your game is going to be Highguard. Your game is going to be Concord. And, RIP to Bungie, it's probably going to be what's going to happen to Marathon. Because when you make these cookie cutter, generic looking online games with no single player aspect to them, you're going to lose people. If you want to make a single player game and have a multiplayer aspect that can be a little generic, fine. That's an add-on to your game. That's what they need to go back to. We need to go back to having a solo game or a multiplayer campaign, like Halo used to do. Have a campaign with a story where you get engaged with these characters. And then go, hey, there's an online portion of this game too. You can play online, fight people, battle, whatever. I think we need to get back to doing that. But that's all I'm going to say about those games, because, man, just talking about these and seeing these couple trailers, man, it makes my brain hurt. And I need to go play an actual good game right now. That's how much it's hurting my brain, because I can't understand who makes these choices and these decisions in the game companies, because we're seeing them fail. We're seeing them just drop. And we're watching the rise of just indie games. Exhibition 33, indie studio, low budget, everything. And they blew people away. They did something different. That's what you need to do. And that's the unfortunate thing with Highguard, is there was potential there, and they didn't know what to do with it. And I just hope Sony doesn't lose too much money between Marathon and the Horizon online game, because, man, that could just be the nail in the coffin for Bungie, and even for our next Horizon project. That's what kind of makes me worry. So we'll see how it plays out. Maybe we'll kind of peek in on some stuff later on in the next stream, next week. But that is going to pretty much be it as far as the topics go. We stayed on schedule today. I'm actually pretty happy. Probably because this week I didn't have a massive amount of figures. So I'm going to do a quick rundown real quick. We did have Pinky from My Hero Academia, of course, this week for My Hero Monday. We had Rem in the Taito Arcade Station from Twin Tuesday, of course, ReZero. Waifu Wednesday, we went and we had Maureen from My Dress Up Darling. And of course, one that got quite a bit of hate. Reincarnated Thursday, we had the super freaking cute Rimuru Q Posket. And then to close out the week with Figure Friday, we had, of course, going back to JJK, we had the Luminasta Battle Diorama Megumi with, of course, his Frog Boys. So, all in all, we had some great figures highlighted this past week. We had some fun topics to talk about. Thank you guys so much for coming in and chatting, bearing with me with the little bit of a delay to the start today. Again, progress, not perfection. Thank you guys so much for stopping in today or watching this on the VOD. If you guys are doing either, let me know who your favorite figure this week was in the comments and what you guys would actually like to see go on in the future. If you guys want us to do more segments, pick out different topics, let me know if there's things you all want to discuss and we will chat about them because that's what I'm here for. So I'm going to end this one by saying, I don't have the graphic for it yet, but if you guys are looking for a cool little energy caffeine kind of boost, I do have a creator code for Dubby Energy. So if you go there, I will post the link in the chat. It is Dubby Energy, dubby.gg, and we use code NERDS NEVER SLEEP for 10% off. So I don't have my graphic for that yet. I know, I fail. But if you guys are looking for something a little bit different, I've been trying them for the past week and a half. I really, really do like it. And I am going to continue to buy it. I'm going to be getting the Freerun and Chainsaw Man collab flavors because I got to, because they sound awesome. But that is going to be it for this stream, guys. Thank you all so much again for watching. Again, if you guys have any suggestions, thoughts, opinions, let me know. Because again, we are going to evolve this every single week. We're going to change things up every week. And we're going to keep trying to add some more cool stuff to it. So we're going to be building this stream into something that I ideally want to grow over the course of this year. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for stopping in. I will see you all next time. Bye, everyone.